What? Yet another mistake? Maybe it's a relationship that went wrong. Maybe it's a conversation you said too much or said too little. Maybe something at work that you didn't want to do it a certain way, but you ended up doing something that didn't, turn up well. Or maybe it was one of those deliberate mistakes where you knew better, but you still chose to do something that you shouldn't, and it had its consequences. Yes, to err is human. At the same time, being human means there is a physical and an emotional impact of things, and sometimes dealing with mistakes can be very difficult. We can find ourselves oscillating between two different extremes. One extreme is that we take on the role of forgiving ourselves way too easily, like, oh, how does it matter? These things happen, we make mistakes, let's just move on, let's just forgive ourselves and just move on. And in the process, I say it's an extreme because in the process, you keep making mistakes and you learn nothing from it. So that's one extreme. The other extreme is really punishing yourself that how could I make such a mistake? Sometimes we can find ourselves stuck in this situation that how come I did this? I lost so much because of this. And that is also not very productive for our spiritual progress. And so while these two things feel as two different extremes, they have something in common. In both the scenarios, whether you punish yourself or whether you forgive yourself, either ways, the rod of judgment, the yardstick of what's right and wrong lies in our own hands. We are the judge of what is right. We are the judge of what is wrong. We are the judge of what suffering should come. And this is where lies the problem, because all of these just reinforce the idea that I am the controller. Arjuna also found himself in that situation in the beginning of the Bhagavad-Gita, the first chapter, the yoga of grief. He is in a very painful situation, but he's evaluating what is right and wrong based on his own intelligence. He's kind of gauging, oh, this is good for my happiness. This is not going to be good for my happiness. This won't be good for my family. All these different criteria. But the yardstick's in his hand. He's deciding what is good, what is bad, what will be right. But not every situation in life is black and white. Not everything is an equation. You can't always just be like, yes, this is sometimes both options are bad. Sometimes all circumstances are unfair. How do we move forward from such a situation? How do we move forward from such a soup? And this is why the first principle in spiritual progress is Adho Guru Ashraya, that one must take shelter of a spiritual master. As long as we hold the yardstick of what is right and wrong, as long as we are the determinants of what is right and wrong, we're gonna find ourselves in either the extreme of judging ourselves and punishing ourselves and self-flagellation, or the other extreme of just whatever, it happens, let it be, just forgive yourself. Both are not very progressive options. So like I said, it's very important in human form of life to have a spiritual master, to have a guru, Adho Guru Ashraya. Now, guru is a mainstream word, there's financial gurus, there's dance gurus, there's music gurus, there's all kind of gurus out there. It's a mainstream word. But you might wonder, what kind of a guru do you need? Well, that depends on your depth of awareness about the problem you have. While dealing, for example, with a financial mistake or with a financial problem, your level of awareness might be that I have a financial problem. And you might just go to someone who's a so-called financial guru. Or maybe while dealing with some sort of a relationship challenge, you may think, oh, I have an anger problem and I'm just going to go with somebody who's a guru for anger management or something. So depending on your level of awareness about the depth of your problem, you will find the right kind of guru. And oftentimes the second trap we fall into is we're not very aware of what our problems are. We just kind of look at the surface. Oh, I'm having money issues. Oh, I'm having relationship issues. Oh, I'm having this issues. We're just kind of like stuck in the surface and a very narrow domain. We don't see the whole problem. It takes a very mature, intelligent person to see that material existence, material body, temporary life, and eternal desires, this incompatibility is the core of our problem. And on the other level, we're also very surface level. I'm having money issues. We can't go deeper than that. Like, why do we have a money issue? What is the problem? What is the reason that an elephant can eat 2 tons of food every day and not have any money issues. And why do I have to have money issues? Why does the ant who lives in the wall inside a hole have all the food it needs, but I need to struggle so hard for it? So we're not able to think that deeply. We're just on the surface level. So stuck on the surface level with a narrow focus, we often can't go beyond, I have financial issues. We're not able to see that the eternal soul is running after temporary things with a lifespan on them, and we have endless desires and not endless resources to fulfill those desires, and that creates a problem. That creates incompatibility. So sooner or later we'll find ourselves stuck in, oh, I made a mistake and lost what I wanted, or I made a mistake and so what, get it, let's try something else. So the most healthy way forward is to find a guru. The best way forward is to take shelter of a guru. But it is also important to increase our level of awareness about our problems. That is why we have Bhagavad-Gita. When you start to study the Bhagavad-Gita, the ancient yoga text, you start to understand that you live life on 3 different planes of existence. There is the material plane of existence, which we are most familiar with. But then there is also the subtle or the psychological plane of existence, where there's a lot going on. And then beyond the material and the subtle plane of existence, there is a spiritual plane of existence. And that is the root of our existence, the moola, this root of our existence from where everything emanates. All these, and if we address a problem, if we address our challenges at that root of our existence, that I don't know who I am, yet I'm working hard to find what I want. But how can that even work? When we understand that, that's when we can actually approach a real guru, a tattvadarshi, adha guru ashraya. We can take shelter. As one cannot just figure this out on their own. It's important to approach a real guru who can teach us what real mistakes are, and through whom you can learn that the real mistake is that the pure soul is trying to chase the temporary and find happiness from that which is so insubstantial, so temporary. When that realization dawns on the heart, then you know what to truly repent. Our main focus is, we have forgotten Krishna, we have forgotten the Supreme Lord. That's the biggest mistake, having forgotten Krishna, having forgotten the Supreme. We're trying to fix these little things, financial, relationship, this and that. But the plug's disconnected from the socket. So we gotta put the plug back into the socket so our life is powered up in the right way.